folks, a little video for you here. Our weather has warmed up, but now we're basically losing all the snow that we got. This winter has been one strange winter, and it's been unreal. First, this is a little bit about hunting, right? And I just want to do a little shout out to Errata Imagery. I'll read this little bit, so I'm going to do a little shout out and say hi. And he said, Robert, do you hunt at all? And what was my outlook on hunting? And the sharing of game with these beings, with Sasquatch, with Bigfoot, right? I have a few thoughts on that. We do hear a lot of crazy stories, hunting stories, and coming out of the woodwork. I don't know if all of them are true. Of course, I could never say that for sure, or what is real and what isn't, right? But what I do know from what we've experienced here, we have never. I always think about these beings as the judge and jury. I do come from a long line of hunters and trappers and trackers. The hunting, most of my experience with hunting has been survival, right? I mean, we hunted for food, you hunted for survival. All of our ancestors did at one point. I mean, that's how you survived, right? All the races, it was a hunting and gathering culture. And so there isn't so much a need for hunting because you can go to the grocery store and get your meat, right? You can get your meat and you can get your chicken and you buy your food. Now, I think a lot of the hunting has evolved into this sport. They've changed hunting into a sport. This is just my opinion. There's a whole lot of lack of respect for nature and the animals out there. It's a big money-making thing. It's always the thing that gets in the way of whether it's morality or ethics, values, teachings, tradition. Money comes into play, and it kind of destroys everything that meant something. The mighty dollar becomes the focus, and the respect for the things around us disappear. And I think most of us can agree that that's what's happening, right? You know, we were always taught to eat what you kill and don't pull that trigger unless you're going to eat what you kill. And don't just kill for a sport, for nothing. And because I think we're dealing with spirit. I think, again, the majority of us can agree that everything is spirit-filled or has a spirit of some kind. Even the grass we walk on, right? It's alive. It's alive. There's a spirit there. You know, everybody feels that connection. I think the whole hunting concept has changed, and where it pertains to Bigfoot, I've not seen in all of my travels, in all of the locations that I go to, I have never seen a kill site. They have gifted me with bones of dead things, but I couldn't say for sure if that was something they killed or they found it, right? And we don't even know if they need to eat, for that matter. Just on what I've experienced and what I know and what I've learned and what I've been told, they're not great meat eaters, right? Possibly fish, maybe, but they're not great. They're not these big meat eaters. And people will argue that and say, well, they're so big, they need the protein, they need the... But if we're going, you know, there's the whole idea of them being interdimensional, you know, these different worlds, these different realms. Maybe they don't have the needs that we do. Their ways are different, right? Their ways are not our ways. You know, we don't know enough to say these things for sure. I want to go back to the judge and jury, them being the judge and the jury. They judge us. I want to share a little story with you about a reserve it's a native reserve. And there was, I won't give any names. This is a true story. And it was a chief. One of the chiefs that were there, he's no longer there. He was doing some kind of shady, crooked things, right? With the people up there and with the money and the finances and not good stuff. And a lot of people were losing their trust in him. There was no transparency, but you know, the people understood what was going on, but you know, what can you do about it? So at one point, through his time as chief, he took his family hunting. It was right at a period and a point where they were getting ready to actually call an election, and they wanted to vote in a new chief, and he was really struggling against that, and there was a lot of horrible things unkind things taking place. So off they go on this hunting trip, and he had killed 3 black bear, Most of the native tribes don't want to really kill the bear, right? There's a lot of legend and story there, and I'll share that another day. Anyway, he killed these 3 bear. I guess he killed them and skinned them out and hung them in these trees next to their camp. That night they start hearing the whoops and the roaring and all kinds of noises back in the trees and across the river. They were right next to a river. They got they got scared. They basically picked up their camp and left through the night, didn't take the meat down. The next morning they come back, they tracked three Sasquatch, a big male. It was a 22-inch track. They figured it was a big male and a female and a young one. They tracked them through the mud along this river, but the bear were gone. They were taken, and they were taken upriver. The Bigfoot did. That chief, he's no longer chief, but I imagine there was a lot of thinking, a lot of contemplating on why that happened, and especially to him. He's a Cree chief of a whole community of people, and something like that, right when there was things going on with him to do with his leadership and how he was treating the people, happened. I don't believe in coincidence. I just think coincidence is another word for denial. The reasons will come forward, the answers come later, right? So they didn't eat this meat, but they did take the kill. They took it from him. And I've heard that often. I've heard where when these things happen, people ask, well, why did that happen to me, right? Why did that happen now? And it's usually when there is something going on. It could be the way they're hunting. It could be the ones that are out there sports hunting, and they're not honoring the spirit of the animals and of nature. These Bigfoot are saying, no. I really believe that. I think, it may sound strange, but in most of the circumstances and most of the times that these things have happened, these bad hunting experiences, there's a lot going on, more than we know, right? There's a lot going on behind the scene. There's more to the story that we don't hear. All we hear is we killed a moose and the Bigfoot come and terrorized them and stole the meat or chased them out of there. We don't know the details. We're just hearing these only parts of these experiences, and I think that's where we got to be careful. You know, what is real, what isn't. There's more to these stories than we know. Going back to the hunting, I think I've always thought that they're out there. I've always thought that they're guardians, guardians of the trees, of nature, of the things out there. They're watchers. If there's somebody out there disrespecting nature, again, who do we blame? If we're going to go out there and think we are all above everything else that's here, and there is no equalness to the things around us. I'm not against the hunting at all. I think it's the way we hunt and the reasons for hunting. And, I watched my grandfather. My father was the same way, and my uncles were the same way, my great uncles. When they killed something, they left the choicest parts of the kill there back in the trees for whatever was in the area, or for the the spirits that are there. They left them as an offering, as a gift, out of respect. And I think that's missing in a lot of these hunting stories, and a lot of the people that are out there hunting, that respect is missing. And so when I see these, or I hear these horrible terrorizing experiences, and I bring that back. Personally, I've been involved in many hunts through my life as an empath, right? And I learned this probably in my later teens. I think we all have, in a sense, to a point, an empathic ability. You have that it's like a sixth sense, right? It's there. I think everybody has it to some degree. There's some that are further, maybe more sensitive when it comes to the empathy of things, and the feeling and sensing the energies around you, in people, in animals, in nature. But I learned at my later teens, and I was involved in a hunt, and I pointed my gun. I had this bull moose in my sights. It looked at me, and we connected. Our minds touched just for a second, just for a split second, and it was like he knew, and I knew, and he was going to let it happen. and I pulled the trigger, and it was all within like a second. These emotions and feelings and things are taking place so quick. Me physically taking my finger and pulling the trigger was happening at the same time. And as soon as I pulled that trigger, I knew he was going to die. And it was like at the same time, it was conveyed to me that he understood. And that was my first hunting emotional experience, and I literally wept. I'm not an insecure man, and I'm okay about talking about crying and weeping, and we need to cry more, I think. And my grandfather always said, it takes more of a man to cry than it does for him not to, right? There's more strength in that. That's how he talked to us. And so I did. I wept and I cried, and I understood at that point, because I had witnessed that in my grandfather. On my mom's side, I watched him. I was with him one time on a hunt, and I watched him kill a moose, and I seen him crying, and I understood. And yet he was one of the, well, if you were to rate hunters, he was a great hunter. When he went out, he usually come back with his moose, and he didn't feed just his family, he fed to his relatives, to his brother's family. That was the way it was, right? You shared everything, and I think that's missing as well. People will kill and go and store it in their deep freeze, and it's theirs, right? I think maybe that's missing as well. And why? Maybe there's these negative experiences with these hunting stories that we hear, right? I think they're judge and jury. I think they're judging us, and when we're out there in their realm, in the trees where that's their home, we have to be respectful. And if you're going to hunt, right, leave something there and say thank you. Say thank you, do your apologies, say thank you, and show them how appreciative you are. A lot of people are hunting, I think, more now too, because there's this mistrust of the food we're buying in our local grocery stores, with all the preservatives and additives and dyes and you name it. It's there, and a lot of people are kind of stepping back from that. They're starting to raise their own produce, and raising their own chickens and pork and beef, and if they can get local, organic, people are doing that. Or they're out there hunting for wild game, right, for organic food, which is not a bad idea. But I know a lot of people aren't able to do that. But if you do, and if we are hunting, I think we've just got to be careful how we are out there. And that's like I say, we're dealing with spirit, and we need to respect that, right? And that does change the energy of everything that we're doing. Whatever we put forward is going to come back in a likewise manner. So it's the way things are. But again, these are just my thoughts, my opinions, and what I've been taught and what I'm learning as we go forward here. Oh, one last thing. I've set up a Go Buy Me a Coffee account. A little shout out to Louise. If you see her, give her a thumbs up, say hi. She had a really good idea, and I didn't even know there was such a thing as Buy Me a Coffee. A lot of people have been commenting and emailing me about my flute, the native flute that I play. I have these songs in my head, and I can't. What I was thinking of was getting another flute, a native flute, tuned into the key of F sharp. It's got a lower, softer, wind-like tone to it. And I always have these, I have a couple of songs in my head, and when I try to play them on the flute that I have, I can't, the notes are not there, right? There's a few lower notes that I need to hit, and I can't hit them because my flute, I just don't play those notes, right? She had a really good idea to raise some money to get this flute. So what I've done is I opened up an account. You can go there. I'll put the links down at the bottom here in the description of this video. You can go there and you can buy me a coffee if you'd like. I've got a goal that I want to reach there. And if we get past the goal that I set to get the flute, anything there is going to go back into the channel, right? I'm not in this to make a whole lot of money. I'm here to tell a story and to share everything with you guys. Anything I get, I post it, right? And whether it's in the community tab or on the channel itself in video form, I will do it. Like I say, it's not about making money or getting that money shot. I know there are a lot of ones out there that's what they're after, and that's okay. I mean, to each their own, right? But I think at this point, most of you know that's not who I am. As well, just touch bases with all of yous and let you know we're going to be headed to Seven Creeks. Take care. See you in the trees. Bye for now.